Well, from the angle of social commentary or social critique, the Diddy case is quite rich. There's a lot to talk about. For me, the most interesting thing is what is demonstrated on multiple levels about the Western psyche. I mean, whether it's Weinstein or Epstein or Diddy or, say, R. Kelly or Dominique Strauss-Kahn, who everyone forgets about, the predation and the degeneracy of the super rich is always met with disingenuous shock and disgust, while simultaneously, without fail, we're also always told that everyone knew what these people were doing for years. And in fact, I think that most people do understand that this is how the super rich behave, so the shock is not genuine. But if we're being honest, the disgust isn't genuine either, because in fact, being rich enough to behave this way is precisely why many people want to be rich. The predation and the degeneracy are not peculiarities of the wealthy. The thing that makes them different is that they have the resources that enable them to do it. But for a very large percentage of people in the West, the only thing that's preventing them from behaving the same way is their comparative poverty, not their comparative piety. The rich are not necessarily any worse than the rest of the people morally. Their wealth just removes the constraints that restrict other people from being just as bad. I mean, if you look at popular entertainment, the sort of lifestyles that are promoted in popular entertainment and were promoted in the film and music industries by the likes of Weinstein and Diddy and R. Kelly and everyone else, that's the degenerate, debauched, hedonistic, anti-human, immoral lifestyle that they themselves were living and to which the consumers of that entertainment aspire. It's completely consistent with the mentality of colonizers and slave masters. The fantasy lifestyle for Westerners is brutal. It is to dominate, to humiliate, to exploit, abuse, subjugate, degrade, objectify, dehumanize, tyrannize, and enslave. That's the Western fantasy. It always was, and it is now, and they act upon it any chance they get. I mean, they'll prosecute these types of people, these select cases, only to absolve themselves. They need to burn someone at the stake just to convince themselves that they're better than them, that they're more righteous and more moral than them, but they're not. Most of them are not. I mean, look at any music video, almost any music video, and tell me how it's not promoting the exact same lifestyle that you claim to hate Epstein and Weinstein and Diddy for. Meanwhile, those videos have hundreds of millions of views and hundreds of millions of likes, and you memorize the words of those songs. You have a problem. You can't reform yourselves. You can't reform and rehabilitate your so-called civilization by just prosecuting token offenders. Finding these people guilty doesn't make you innocent. When you made them rich and you made them famous on the very basis of the degenerate messaging that they promoted and that you devoured. You've endorsed it all along, and you endorse it now. You aspired to it then, and you aspire to it now. I mean, you literally have someone like Andrew Tate, who directly built his wealth through and for this very lifestyle, and by selling it to others how they could do the same thing and have that same lifestyle. Because this is the Western male fantasy. I mean, think about it. Everybody in this case, in the Sean Combs case, everybody wants to know about the celebrities who were at those parties. No one wants to know about the nameless, faceless executives, the obscure, pasty old men for whom those parties were undoubtedly actually arranged in the first place. The celebrities were just the draw. They were the party favors provided for those anonymous owners and controllers of global financialized capital. But you want to know about the celebrities, because even in your proclaimed disgust, you're still fantasizing. So I find the selective disgust to be performative. And that's actually useful. That's a useful thing to know about the Western psyche and how they respond when the crimes of their society get highlighted. Because yes, in my view, these are crimes of Western society, because the individual crimes of someone like Diddy are reflective of the values and the aspirations of Western society itself. So when these crimes get highlighted, in other words, when for whatever reason, for any particular individual, these crimes are suddenly and selectively subject to accountability, there's a choir of hypocritical condemnation and outrage. Now that matters to me, for instance, in the context of the Article 6 campaign to expel the United States from the United Nations, because just like Diddy or Weinstein or whoever, just like those criminals, and just like how everyone has known about their degeneracy for years, so too everyone knows about America's crimes. And just like with Diddy or with Weinstein, everyone is complicitly silent until the moment of accountability comes. Then they all rush to a microphone to distance themselves and disown the criminal with self-absolving condemnation. So this is why you might see France and the UK not veto Article 6 at the Security Council, because once we bring all the US violations to light in an official venue, not just in an essay or a book or a lecture or what have you, but actually in an official legal venue, violation after violation, crime after crime, human rights abuse after human rights abuse, stretching back for 8 decades, and call it out for what it is, why France and the UK are likely to act just like every associate of Diddy or Weinstein or Epstein or any of these other degenerate predators, and race each other to the podium to condemn and distance themselves and exonerate themselves and try to salvage their own reputations and polish their own image and assure the world of how good they are, how law-abiding they are, how principled they are by throwing America under the bus. I mean, do you think that any of the European colonial powers were actually happy to watch the U.S. take over their empires? No. France and the UK are both seething with bitterness and resentment and envy. While they'll be just as happy to watch America fall as all those associates and co-conspirators of Diddy are happy to watch that belligerent criminal go to jail if they have been clever enough to protect themselves from being prosecuted themselves for their association with him. I think France and the UK are just the same. They're in the same position as those associates of Diddy. They won't veto Article 6 because it would too blatantly expose them as being part of the same criminal syndicate as America. It's like cutting a deal for immunity with prosecutors. This is why it's useful to understand the psyche, because frankly it helps with analysis and strategizing, to understand the Western psyche, to know who you're dealing with and how they behave. I mean, there are actually so many facets to this story in terms of social critique. Like the fact that, okay, someone like Diddy, and actually most of the artists who were associated with him were actually mediocre talents at best, with 1 or 2 exceptions. But you can literally see people uploading independently on social media today who are immeasurably more talented than these people are, than the people who the industry designates as being top-tier artists. Now, to me, that reflects the financialization of the economy, whereby billionaires are created not by producing, not by creating, not by manufacturing, not by actually making excellent products, but just by manipulation of financial markets. Virtual money, virtual valuation of shares, stocks, what have you. Like I've said before, Elon Musk did not become as rich as he is now by selling Teslas. He got rich through financialization and share buybacks of Tesla to artificially inflate the share price, resulting in his net worth ballooning for no reason whatsoever connected to production or to sales. So in the financialized economy, profit and wealth are disconnected from actually creating or manufacturing products of value. It is unearned money. So it's the same with artists. It's the same. A singer or a rapper or what have you, it's like a Tesla. They're just a financial instrument. Their profile is the source of their profit. Their celebrity is the source of their profit. And it doesn't matter at all whether they have any talent or not. Just like it doesn't matter that there are so many electric cars on the market that are objectively superior to Tesla. Nor does it matter even that electric cars anyway are already absurdities to begin with. No one cares. You only have a company so that you can have shares in that company. Making things is tertiary to the purpose of a company, just like talent and producing quality songs or performances or what have you is tertiary to the purposes of an artist or a performer. Entertainment and art have been financialized. So in other words, the people who are making the most money and who are running those sectors don't care even slightly about quality or producing anything of real artistic value. This is why you have so many celebrities that everyone wonders why on earth they are celebrities when they observably have no talent whatsoever. I mean, the most obvious example, of course, is the Kardashians. We don't even pretend to have a talent. But I mean, you can find countless others among those people who the entertainment industry tells us are the most talented people in their field, but who are painfully mediocre in reality. Well, okay, this is, in and of itself, corruption. These are people who have built wealth without building value. So it's both corruption and immaturity. It's deceitful and parasitic, and it divorces reward from merit, from work, from discipline, from worth. It's getting without deserving. So you don't go through the development process as a person or as a society that you have to go through to actually deserve reward. That's the maturation process that can actually make you appreciate the reward once you have earned it. It's the maturation process that gives you integrity. Because unearned reward is just the other side of the coin of unaccountability. You know, if you can have unearned reward, then you will also feel that you should not have earned punishment. These are the two sides of the same attitude. Because you gained your wealth and your fame and so on outside the traditional framework of merit, hard work, and talent. So you will also feel that you exist outside the framework of accountability in terms of your wrongdoing. You're someone for whom the rules do not apply, because if the rules applied, well, then you wouldn't even be rich and famous, because you don't deserve that, and you haven't earned that by producing value. So you think that the rules don't apply either to your merit or to your demerit. This is very, very Western. So now you have people controlling incredibly influential cultural sectors who don't care in the least about producing quality. These people give you the soundtrack, the reference points, the lexicon, the standards, the style, the attitude, the perspective, the personality, the ambiance that pervades your whole society and culture. These degenerate, deranged, deceitful, diabolical people are like the cinematographers who set the framing of your view of the world. They're the filter of popular culture that's placed over the lens through which you see reality, and it's a very dark and very warped lens. But again, this is your so-called civilization. You know, you have this thing now, going around now, I've seen it online, that people openly talk about, what they call yachting, which is nothing but celebrities and models and actors, singers, what have you, literally being paid to fornicate with wealthy men on yachts, basically floating Diddy parties. And no one's offended, no one is outraged. Somehow for you, this is not disgusting. Because the lottery mentality of the West, you all hope to one day be one of those rich men on one of those yachts. Because you just take it as a given that this is the sort of thing that the rich get up to. And the only reason you don't get up to the same kind of debauchery and the same kind of predation as the rich is just because your finances prevent you. Not your morality, your finances. I mean, do you see how this looks to a Muslim? I mean, we see your social media platforms, Instagram, X, what have you, Facebook. These are largely being used just as delivery platforms, directing people to OnlyFans accounts or bookings for prostitutes. Your whole popular culture hypersexualizes women, glorifies violence, condones prostitution, promiscuity, drug use, drinking, pimping, gangsterism, and crime. And then you clutch your pearls in shock and disgust when one of you gets caught doing in real life what you always promoted in your songs and videos and movies. When you get caught acting in real life the same way that you acted on screen. When you get caught living the lifestyle that all of you tell each other is living the dream. Well, it looks to a Muslim like the only thing that you're actually offended about or outraged about is the getting caught part. But then, like I said, you just use those opportunities as a chance to pretend to be disgusted by the behavior of people whom you made rich because they promoted that same behavior in their songs and movies and videos. I mean, why weren't you disgusted by it when it was put to a beat? Why, if Diddy had released tapes of his parties in the form of music videos, his net worth would have tripled, and he probably would have gotten a VMA award. Because the fact is, you approve of all this. You aspire to it. And in fact, that degenerate lifestyle, that predation, and that debauchery with impunity is actually the American dream. It's the colonizer, slave master, Western imperialist dream. And for anyone who's over there in the States or in the West who genuinely, truly does feel disgusted and outraged over this kind of thing, because I know there are some of you, all I can say is, you know how they talk about situational awareness? Having that awareness of your surroundings and what's going on around you so that you can be alert to any threats or dangers nearby. Well, let's call this civilizational awareness. And just like someone who is oblivious to the threats and dangers around them on the street, you say that they have low situational awareness. Well, you have low civilizational awareness because you are truly walking around in a cloud of propaganda and indoctrination and obliviousness about the reality of the so-called civilization that you live in. You think that you're walking around in a park in the middle of a sunny afternoon surrounded by flowers and fuzzy animals, but you're actually in a dead-end alley at 3 in the morning in the pitch dark, and you're surrounded by psychopaths and serial killers. No, people like Epstein and Weinstein and Sean Combs are not anomalies. You're the anomaly. And in that predatory society, that makes you nothing but prey.